Look at, can we split the screen here?
Yeah,
Look
his head needs to be
You're
under the...
way more than a third.
No, not. I'm under the white dot.
Can you, like, shoulder what, cheat? Is that what they call it?
Hi, I'm David Farkas with Shaquatics Water Polo, sitting on the sliding hill.
Scooch.
On that side is Coach Brittany.
There I am.
Towards the end of the video, she'll just be ahead. Yeah. That's Coach Brittany. And right in the middle, in the red shirt, a different red shirt.
It's not the same.
Not the same.
It's a scarlet.
Scarlet.
Mr. Jeremy from MyGym Yorba Linda, as we said before. All our kids have been in MyGym Yorba Linda, and the reason is because of Mr. Jeremy.
Thank you.
So you're welcome.
Only Mr. Jeremy.
If you have a child between the ages of 3 months and 12 years and you live in the Yorba Linda area, highly recommended. And we're talking about youth sports. Mr. Jeremy was a college baseball player who then became a college coach. Excuse me.
They know because they watched all our videos.
A baseball coach. No one watched those videos.
It's okay. I get better and better every video.
You do, actually.
Local hero.
Local hero.
He expertly teased this video in our last one. If you didn't watch the first two, you gotta. It's so good.
It's definitely worth it.
So good. But this one, what are we talking about, Mr. Jeremy?
We are talking about being your children's or your kids' greatest cheerleader instead of their biggest critic. So, yeah, I think that kind of, it speaks, as much as I want to say it speaks for itself, parents still have a lot of trouble with this. You know, I grew up with parents that they loved coming to my sports. They loved coming out and watching me play. I have a brother, and he played hockey, but he didn't play hockey much, too long. And so my parents and my brother would always come out and watch our sports and stuff like that. And it was really cool. My dad coached me when I was in Little League, but then when I got to a point where my dad was like, you know what, you know more about the sport than I do. I'm going to step back and let someone else coach you.
How was your coaching experience with your dad? Was it healthy?
It was really cool. It was really fun. We got to spend a lot of time, my brother, my dad and I, a lot of time together. My mom would go out to our practices and stuff like that. And so it was really cool. My dad once did a thing where he said if we won first place, he would shave his mustache. And
that's cool.
We won first place, and I'd never seen him without a mustache, and so he shaved it. And we're like, no, put it back. It was so weird. But the greatest thing that he did, and he'll even admit this too, is stepping back and becoming a parent versus being a coach.
Yeah.
And I think that as a parent, for myself, I have a 14-year-old daughter. It's hard for me because I'm a coach at heart, and I want to be, hey, you need to work on this, you need to work on this. But it just makes parenting easier when you trust your coach. You guys are always talking about a good coach. Well, if you put your kid with a good coach, like, it makes parenting easy. Yeah, you just cheer for your kid and you be their biggest supporter. Instead of, getting on them for maybe striking out or maybe missing a block or maybe missing something.
Well, you told me a great story the other day about your mom when you struck out, I think.
Yeah.
You want to say that story?
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I was playing in a wood bat league growing up on my travel ball team.
Wood bat league. That sounds so hardcore.
It was.
I don't even know what that means.
Batting
with
a wood bat.
I know nothing.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
Wood bat, like
water.
I don't even know what that means. We played
Wooden
Speedo
bat.
League.
Like Speedo League.
We played in the sand.
Full of sand. Yeah. Played ocean polo.
No, but I had just struck out, and my mom knew that I was my biggest critic, and I was so mad, and I took my bat and I slammed it on the ground and I snapped it. And my mom, instead of getting mad and like, why'd you do that? No, she just said, well, now you ain't got a bat to use, And it was just like, I was like, yeah, I guess I don't. But, I've seen so many parents that their kid strikes out and they're just like, oh my God, you should have swung at this pitcher. You shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm like, the kid's already, us as athletes, if you're watching this video and you're an athlete, or if you're a parent, we're our biggest critics. If we strike out or if we miss a ball, you can't get on us as much as we get on ourselves. So when you egg it on and just continue to pile, that's what it is. It's piling on.
It's piling on. Well, the kids don't want it. And we always try and put it as like a boss relationship or like a spouse relationship. Imagine like every time you did something, your spouse, your boss is like, well, you are your own boss. Yeah. But, they're like on you and on you and on you. You'd be like, dude, like, relax.
No, I liken it to, we talked about this. Like, so you're in your cubicle doing work, and your boss is like right over your shoulder going, it's not right. Nope, you got to do better this way. No. Like,
You need to work
all
hard.
day
You
long.
work faster. It's like,
You would think that boss was crazy and an idiot.
Yeah.
And yet, that's what I see when we go to some of these baseball games, when the parents are just like, okay, so we have baseball right over here on the park. And,
it's like
Jeremy,
5
I don't know if you're going to believe this. There's a kid in the outfield, okay? His dad, it's not good enough for his dad to just sit in the spectator seating, right? His dad pulls a chair up all the way on the side, next, like,
right by first base.
right by the fence, so he's next to his kid in the outfield, so he can be, like, needling him in the outfield. And you can see the body language on this kid is just like, this stinks.
Yeah.
And how could it not stink?
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting too because we forget when you're looking out at something, it's a completely different perspective. Because I remember we watched an NBA game last year, and the whole time we're watching, we're like, why aren't they seeing the angles? Like, come on. And I remember and they interviewed the star player, and he said after they watched the tape, they were like, how are we missing it?
Yeah.
But it's a completely different view.
They do that camera in the quarterbacks on the football where they show what the quarterback's showing. Right after Brady makes this great pass, and then you look and you're like, what?
Yeah.
How is he seeing anything? All I see is helmets.
Yep. Yeah.
And people wanting to kill you.
It's true. It's definitely, well, and going back to your cubicle story, if I'm sitting there nagging you, I'm not going to enjoy my job anymore.
No.
And so when you hear about kids burning out, so many times the parents are like, people are like, oh, maybe they just got burnt out by the sport. No, maybe the parent kept getting on them because they got out or because they got, like you said, baseball's already a failure sport.
Yeah.
We don't need that when we come home. You need to come home and your parents need to be like, hey, great game today. It's okay. You're going to do, you can do better, or you're still good. You're still, or they come home and you just go on with life.
Yeah.
There's so much wisdom in what your mom said.
Yeah.
That to me is such an old school way of handling it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how my
doesn't need to say
grandmother
anything.
would have done
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What are you gonna bat with now? You know what I mean? It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It kind of diffuses.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like,
You gotta
hey,
check
that was
yourself
kind of
too.
bonehead, right?
Yeah.
You didn't really think
Yeah.
ahead on that one, did you? Right?
Yeah.
It's like when Newman rips Seinfeld's postal jacket and goes, shoo, and then Seinfeld goes, "This is your jacket." Damn. It's like you did that to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. No, it's hard. But it's definitely right. Like if the parents would just step back and be quiet, it's like it would be so much more powerful, so much more meaningful.
I got another one. Can I tell one more?
Yeah,
Sorry.
go for it.
No,
I'm
we're out of time.
I watch too much baseball. I go to these parks.
Yeah.
So yesterday,
Baseball's great to watch.
It is.
I'm standing there. My kids are watching baseball. We're there watching a friend, and then there's this dad next to me, earbuds in, watching something on his phone. Okay.
That's a whole nother Who's episode. Who's
Foot up on the gate, right?
Yeah.
Right here behind the not the dugout, behind home plate.
Mm-hmm.
Every 2.5 minutes, he'd come up and go and pipe something in.
Swing
Swing through it.
Yeah.
Back down to his phone.
Does he
You gotta
feel
focus
like
on the ball. Back down to his phone.
Does he
Yeah.
feel like he has?
What
to
is
do
that?
Why?
I don't. It's. 'Cause I don't know what these parents are thinking. Not only that, but just the parents that are watching their phone when they're at their kid's game, and then they still get home and they hear, how'd you do? Oh, I struck out twice. Well, what the heck? Why didn't you do that?
Right.
You didn't even see the game.
You didn't
You didn't even see the game. So what are you getting on them for? Instead of being like, you know what, but it's okay. You want to go take some batting practice? Let's go do some batting practice.
Let's go say
or a
just
parent
go.
asking like, hey, how can we get better? How can I help you get better?
Yeah.
It's disheartening being a parent, coaching and seeing these parents get on their kids. And I already know. I mean, even as a coach too, I tried not to pile on my kids when they struck out. They'd strike out, I'd bring them over to the bench and be like, hey, it's all right, maybe next time this pitch, we don't swing at this pitch, but this pitch is better.
We're putting
And
so
then we
much
just flush it
pressure,
and go.
We just put too much on the kids.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have, like at this age, and it's a shame because, so on Wednesdays, our kids go to the ranch, and it's just this guy owns a horse field thing, and it's cool. The kids just go play. It's whoever wants to come, and the kids literally just play, and there's trees, and there's swings everywhere. And I was sitting there last week watching our kids play, and I thought, and they were making up their own games, you know, and some of them are playing baseball, some of them are playing tag, and I'm like, there's no phones, no TV, they're outside. I'm like, this is what childhood is supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be a 5-year-old sitting up to bat and the dad's getting on him because he's not swinging through the ball. You know, it's like, it's too much pressure. Let them be kids.
Yeah.
Let them strike out and be like, okay, let's go grab ice cream.
I loved what you said earlier. You're squashing what love of the sport they have slowly. It's just going. You can see it draining out of their face.
Yeah. Yep.
And then once it's gone, they try to spend money on sports psychologists to bring it back.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
because they put so much money invested in their athlete going to college playing that sport.
It's so hard to bring it back once you've
burned it out.
Because you've squashed it over time.
Yeah. It only starts, like you're saying, 5 years old. I mean, you might think that's young, but no. I mean, these parents think that if their kid's not playing varsity baseball by 7 years old, they're not going to go anywhere. And so the parents are trying to will their kids to do it. And now you're getting into like we talked about in an earlier episode, bribing the coaches because the kid doesn't want to do it anymore. And I had friends growing up who burnt out of the sport, amazing athletes, but burnt out because their parents were paying for all these club lessons and all these camps to go to.
Yeah.
They didn't want to do it. They wanted to go to summer camp with their high school friends and hang out.
Play. Yeah.
And these parents are making them do these things, and those are the ones that burn out.
Do you think part of it's because we put too much emphasis on child prodigies nowadays? Because, you know, everything is like, you're on American Idol. It's like, oh, you're 5 years old. And everybody's like, oh my you're amazing. You're amazing. You're 5-6-year-olds and you can dance amazing. And so it's like, have we become a society where it's like, if
you're playing up in double A when you should be,
And it's like, oh, he's so good. He's so special.
When you're 12.
Yeah. It's like the average kid is like nothing.
Well,
you know,
and I don't know if this is a future topic, but
this is a future topic.
But everything is so commercialized where you know what that kid in Texas is doing. And my kid here in California has to be better than that kid in Texas because that kid in Texas is on YouTube. He's on Facebook. He's on Instagram. Yeah. My kid needs to be better than him, or that kid in Florida. You see your competition firsthand now, whereas when I was a kid growing up, the only competition I knew was the high school across the street, or the high school down the street, or the kids in my league. Now, everyone knows who everybody is. And
like we have a family member, every time their kid hits a home run, it's posted on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
And all the comments, they're so great, they're so talented, they're so amazing. And it's like, and all we hear about is how good they are, how good they are, how good they are. And then we always say, well, what is she going to be when she's not playing softball anymore?
Yeah.
This is a really good thing. I was just listening, and I think you said earlier it's tough for you as a coach because you have that instinct to coach. So for me as well, same thing. So this topic of being your kid's cheerleader more than their critic is really important for me to make sure that I do. Yeah. Because I love teaching, right? I love correcting.
Improvement.
And I have to be really careful. I can do that with the kids I coach. I have to be really careful with my kids. I just have to be careful.
You have to be careful
because I want to be there.
Overdo it. You can't. It can't be every swing.
Maybe it's 5 cheerleadings to 1 correction. Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean, there could be a ratio
where the overwhelming amount is just being there, supportive, and then
because you can still teach as a parent. You can still teach the lessons. You're right. Right. There's got to be a balance. But the problem is what we're seeing is that shift of negativity and piling on is like way more than the.
Yeah. Well, like you said too, because my daughter played softball. Now I coached, baseball and everything. And so like when she didn't do well in the game, I'd say like, okay, I know what she needs to work on. And so when we'd get home, I would ask her and say, hey, I noticed that we can work on this. Do you want to go outside and play? Yeah. And you put your instruction in a play setting to where it's still fun. But that's coming from me, coming from you as a coach and a parent. Parents,
how did that work? Did that work pretty good?
It did. Good. It did because we found the right the right ratio of parenting
Playing
fun
and working, yeah.
But parents, if you're not a coach, then just be their cheerleader. Just be their cheerleader and just root them on. Be the loudest one cheering for them in the stands instead of the loudest one yelling at them.
Yeah.
And then love them when they come home, for no matter how many times they strike out, how many home runs they hit, love them the same.
Yes.
And-
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me put in one
oh.
addendum on that, the Be Your Cheerleader. Really work hard to find your kid a good coach.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that it's easy to be their cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say one more story and then done. Short. Was it Joe Montana? Is that
I thought you were going to tell a story of how you were listening to somebody in at a restaurant and you overheard them.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
I haven't been we haven't been eating out lately, so my stories are limited. It's too
I can't
expensive.
afford it. It's like
I know.
$25 hamburger.
I know. Jeez.
What do you-
So real quick. So I think it was Joe Montana, right? Like one of the best quarterbacks of all time. When his kids grew up, they were playing football.
They were quarterbacks.
They were quarterbacks. He had to hire a quarterback coach.
Yes, did you hear
'Cause
that?
They didn't want.
I can imagine.
They didn't want Dad telling them how to throw
He
a
couldn't
football.
teach him.
He
They
couldn't
wouldn't
teach
listen to him. They wouldn't listen to Joe Montana.
Yeah,
He
because
had to
it's
get him a
Dad.
private quarterback coach. That's the
he
best
did.
story of all time. Right?
Yeah.
It
None of
just
us
goes
are
to
Joe
show you.
Montana.
No.
Not even close.
No.
So it's like, I always think about that. That's a great one.
Yeah.
I always think about that when
Yeah, it's like,
Oh my
well, Joe
gosh.
Montana can't teach his kids. I can't teach my
Yeah.
Yeah.
kid. So
I will end on that one. Nice
that was
to meet
great.
you.
Happy to
Nice to
Jeremy.
good one.
Thank you.
So
oh
thank
wait,
you.
we gotta
So-
give a shout out to Noor and Daniel.
Miss Noor
Yes.
Miss Noor and Mr.
And
Daniel.
Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Daniel. Thank you for working today so I can be here.
Yes.
Hey, all right.
We're
From
signing
Aquatics Water Polo, I'm David Farkas with Mr. Jeremy and MyGym Yorba Linda.
Yep.
Check it out. Coach Brittany, we'll see you next time.
See you next time. See you next time.
See, now we got to do a cut at the very end.
Yes.
And all you have to do is just let it roll. All right, let's go.
I'm pretty sure no one's watching at this point,
Goodbye.
anyways.